just want to make sure that you realize that we had a 9 o'clock start so that you could mingle. So take your time, have a refill on the drink, and grab a pastry back there, bathroom break, and we'll get together here just momentarily.
Yeah, or take their stance. Can everybody take their seat? Is this on?
It's live. You don't
Oh, okay. Good morning, everybody. If everybody can just take their seat, we're going to go ahead and get started. Okay.
That was quick.
That was quick. Thank you. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for being here. We are Ohio Realtors Leadership Academy. We're going to take a quick second and just kind of introduce ourselves. I'll go ahead and get started. I'm Rhodalyn Freehas. I am a Columbus Realtors Board of Director and member of the Ohio Realtors Leadership Academy this year, and I, along with my wonderful group members, go ahead, Brittany. Oh, be careful.
My name is Brittany Lasley. I'm from Northwest Ohio Realtors.
I'm Brian Sharp from here in Dayton, a member of the Board of Directors at Dayton Realtors, and thrilled to have you all here with us.
And I'm Tammy Murphy, also a member of the Board of Directors for Dayton Realtors, past global chair, so a lot of you I have communicated with regarding that, and we're looking forward to what today is going to bring for us. So thank you.
All right, I'm going to kick it off just to welcome everybody again to this Utilizing Ohio Tools workshop. You know, we are thrilled to have you here for what promises to be a dynamic, solution-driven session focused on harnessing the power of Ohio's housing tools. This event is the product of a collaborative effort by my members of the Ohio Realtors Leadership Academy, united by a shared mission. It's to help address the growing housing shortage impacting our state and the communities across the country. A very special thank you goes out to the Dayton Foundation and Ohio Realtors and Dayton Realtors. This event would not have been possible without their generous support and commitment to empowering housing solutions across Ohio. So what makes today special and especially unique is the diverse mix of municipalities represented in this room today. With your varied experiences, insights, and local perspectives, we have a powerful opportunity to spark meaningful conversations and drive collaborative, community-based solutions. The urgency is real, people. According to WOSU Public Media, Central Ohio built just over 10,000 new homes in 2024. While the region needed between 17 to 19,000, leaving a shortfall of 7 to 8,500 homes in a single year. The gap stems from a range of interconnected factors, including rapid population growth, job growth, restrictive zoning, land use policies, rising construction costs, a shortage of affordable and workforce housing, aging housing stock and displacement, inadequate policy and infrastructure investment, and increasing community opposition, often driven by NIMBYism. Now, these challenges are significant, but so is the opportunity for meaningful progress. Today's roundtable sessions are designed not just to facilitate conversation, but to inspire action. We invite you to share openly, think boldly, and collaborative across sectors and communities. Together, we can take meaningful steps toward a more equitable and sustainable housing future for all Ohioans. So let's get started. Let's go ahead and call Brian Sharp.
All right, I am pleased to introduce Julie Sullivan. Julie is the Executive Vice President of Regional Development at the Dayton Development Coalition, where she leads regional strategies in collaboration with public, private, and nonprofit partners to grow Western Ohio's economic base. She joined the coalition in 2014, bringing more than a decade of business and economic development experience and a deep-rooted passion for the Dayton region. Prior to that, she served as Dayton Director of Business Development at the Downtown Dayton Partnership. Sullivan has been recognized by the Dayton Business Journal as 40s Under 40, Top 25 Women to Watch by Women in Business Networking, and a Power 50 business leader from 2016 to 2022. She was named one of the nation's top economic developers by Consultant Connect in 2017 and honored as an Ohio Commodore in 2022. She serves on the boards of Dayton History, Chaminade Julienne Catholic High School, and Bloom Community Services, a University of Dayton alumna. Sullivan lives in Dayton with her husband and 3 sons. Please welcome Julie Sullivan.
Thank you. Good morning. Happy to be here with you today, although I think I'm one of those factors that was mentioned that is compounding the housing problem, so I will apologize in advance for that. Pull up some slides here for you. Okay. So I thought that in coming here today, I would just give you a little bit of an overview of the type of work that we do in economic development, which again isn't necessarily a tool or a solution that you can use on the housing side of things, but at least give you a sense of the type of work that we do and the growth that we're seeing that we can take into consideration as we think about what our communities look like for the future. So this is a very familiar group. I see a lot of friendly faces. We've partnered together in a variety of different capacities, but I never want to assume that everybody's familiar with our organization. So the Dayton Development Coalition, nonprofit economic development group, we represent 12 counties in Western Ohio, and we were stood up in the mid-90s at the direction of the Dayton Business Committee to do 2 things. 1, focus on economic growth across the regional community, and 2, look out for the specific health and vitality of Wright-Patterson Air Force Base as the state's largest single-site employer. So to do this, we leverage 3 different initiatives. We attract, grow, and retain jobs by supporting companies in that footprint. Again, protecting and helping to grow the missions that are housed at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base and hoping to grow that as well. And then ensure that our government leaders, whether they're federal, state, or local, really understand the priorities of our region, especially as it comes to economic development, because we want to really make sure that we are well aligned with those individuals as they're creating policy to move our region forward. In 2011, then Governor John Kasich stood up Jobs Ohio as the state's private nonprofit economic development organization, and that Jobs Ohio model leverages a network of partners, including the coalition in the blue, as more of the boots on the ground in each of the 7 regions across the state, working in conjunction with local economic development partners. So from an economic development perspective, these are kind of the nuts and bolts, the things that we're doing day to day to help grow the region. So things like visits with existing businesses to discuss opportunities and challenges that they might have, site selection, helping companies identify locations here in the region, and then project management of those opportunities going forward. business development. We're out across the country and around the world talking about what it's like to do business here in this region to help attract additional investment. And then coordination of talent and workforce resources to support these growing companies. We focus our work in specific industry sectors where we have existing strengths and can build on the support services that are available to those industries, supply chains, etc. What we don't do is restaurant and retail, and we leave the housing to our partners like those of you in the room. Although, when we're successful in our economic development efforts, which we have been in recent years, the service-based businesses can grow, and again, unfortunately, the need for housing does increase, which is why we're all here today. So from a results perspective, here's a look kind of at our results from 2024. We closed on 38 projects, creating just under 2,600 new job opportunities. Those projects will generate about $177 million in new payroll and $1.2 billion in capital investment. We saw investment in more than 20 very small companies through a relatively new program that Jobs Ohio offers called their Small Business Grant Program. And we continue to help support those small businesses through other initiatives such as a small business academy that's available and partnerships with boot camps for entrepreneurs. I mentioned the significant growth that we've seen in recent years, and the pace of activity from an economic development perspective, just even in the past 5 years, is significantly greater than previous. Companies are making decisions much more quickly. Payroll and capital investment is up, and we're continuing to see that trend moving forward. As a region, we've worked really hard to diversify our economy, looking to create jobs across multiple industry sectors, really to help guard against the impact of any one industry's fluctuations or major downturns, like some of the uncertainty that we're seeing today. It can also help us be more resilient when we experience things like natural disasters and others. So there's a lot of really good reasons to diversify the economy. We never want to be reliant on any one or two major employers. That's a big thing that we learned in the early 2000s and have worked hard to get to this point here. While our strength continues to be in manufacturing, it's a variety of types of manufacturing, and we're also seeing growth in various other sectors beyond that. And what I find really exciting about that is that the growth really does happen all throughout our 12-county regional footprint. Industry's strong, and it's growing in all parts of the region, which is also a factor that contributes to our overall economic resiliency and diversification. It also compounds challenges that local communities have in more rural communities in terms of trying to bring on more housing. That's a unique challenge in and of itself because there's not the same density that you have in more urban areas, but that does create some challenges in those communities as well. But we do speak to points like this in terms of, when we're attracting businesses to come to the region, letting them know they can be successful no matter where they land in the region, whether it's a rural part or a closer in to Montgomery County or the traditional MSA, because the region and the state's very business-friendly environment, the solid infrastructure that we have available, low-cost utilities relative to other parts of the country, and that strong work ethic of residents in all of our communities. It's not, that work ethic piece is not necessarily something that you can necessarily see in numbers, but when they come and they visit with us, I think companies and site selection consultants are very impressed with what our regional community can do for them. 2024 was also a year of groundbreakings, grand openings, ribbon cuttings, and more. Many of the projects that we announced in recent years started construction or were officially opening for business, turning those commitments into real job opportunities for individuals in our communities. It's really exciting to see all the projects come to life. So things like Beyond Tag and West Raffo expanding in Trotwood, Dene Development Corporation in downtown Dayton, Excelevation continues to grow in Miami Township, the Amazon facility at the airport, Libra Industries in Dayton, Oxygen in Vandalia, and many others. In particular, West Raffo, which is an Italian power transformer manufacturer, announced it will build its first North American production facility in Trotwood with the help of the local community. Really stepped up for that project and engaged a developer to help them move very, very quickly to take advantage of this opportunity. And I think West Raffo is scheduled for their actual ribbon cutting and facility opening in October of this year. We celebrated the establishment of 2 vibrant community projects in Urbana and the village of Camden on opposite sides of the region, helping support growth in our smaller communities. And we actually have a couple of additional vibrant community projects to announce the second half of 2025. SNC continues to grow at the airport. They announced, in addition to their original 2 MRO hangars, that they'll construct 2 additional at the Dayton Airport to support their growth. And beyond those first 4, we expect to see more. The Dayton Airport has really become a major jobs hub, not just with logistics and distribution, but with SNC establishing a presence there. And as Joby Aviation continues to ramp up over the next several years, I think it will create a very diverse mix of jobs. And that's a particular area that I think there's been a lot of conversation around. How can we ensure we can house folks that are working these types of job opportunities? Another terrific opportunity for our community is the On-Main Innovation Hub at the former Montgomery County Fairgrounds. It becomes more and more real every day. Our office is directly across Stewart Street from that, so we can watch out the window as they're starting to begin construction on the infrastructure needed to bring this particular development to life. It's definitely a long-term play and a game changer for the community, but we're excited here in the next 18-ish months to see this first building come to life at the corner of Stewart and Main as the region's digital transformation center. And earlier this year, we announced the execution of the Wright-Patterson Air Force Base enhanced use lease, one of only a handful of EUL projects that have been approved in the last 15 years. This is a very unique real estate development that will support the Dayton region's role in national security by bringing the defense industry to the actual doorstep of Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. The development itself is a very long-term land lease on federal property, so defense contractors have the ability to locate directly outside the fence of the base for even closer collaboration with Research Lab, Aerospace Intelligence Center, and others. So we've seen significant growth. 2025's been a little different than that. And although the theme of 2025 so far has really been that of uncertainty, companies haven't been as willing to commit to plans that they have on the board for consideration. There's a lot of factors, between tariffs and rising costs and such. It's a difficult time for them to move forward with their plans. But we do continue to see opportunity, and I'd say even in the last couple 3-4 weeks, we're starting to see some of this break loose, having more conversation with businesses about potential for growth, site selection activities picking up again, which is a good sign. So, we do continue to see opportunity. It's not necessarily translating as quickly, but I think going into 2026, we'll see more. Primarily, it's a lot of evaluating opportunities for reshoring of operations or onshoring from the coasts, as well as continued growth. And advanced air mobility companies are looking to come and be part of the ecosystem that's being built in this region, and then I think even more aircraft modification as companies see the success SNC's having and they want to be part of it. So not only do we need to have the workforce and housing, but we also need real estate sites to continue to win projects. So back in 2016, we partnered with Jobs Ohio to roll out what they call their Site Ohio program to certify development sites as construction ready. And really what that means is documenting all of the due diligence studies, confirming utility capacities, et cetera, so that we can tell a company that's evaluating the site, we have every piece of information you might need to evaluate this site and move forward with a project. We've been very successful with this. Jobs Ohio has hosted about 5 rounds of applications since 2016, and we've partnered with several communities to bring sites online. We currently have 6 authenticated sites all across the region, from Clark to Mercer County. There's one in Fayette, Greene, and Auglaize counties. So these are typically larger acreage footprints, and again have the industrial capacities and studies documented to make these ready for companies to move forward. And because real estate is becoming more and more important and harder to come by, at least for sites that are ready to go at the pace of business, Jobs Ohio continued to consider how they could catalyze additional real estate development and created the Ohio Site Inventory Program. So Ohio Site Inventory Program incentivizes developers to build on a speculative basis. So what we're looking for here is industrial buildings that can be built on spec to be ready to go when a prospect comes knocking. The program was rolled out during COVID, which was some of the driving force for putting the program together. Again, because at that time even we had started to see more reshoring opportunities and companies were looking to make quick business decisions. There's not a whole lot of available real estate, definitely not Class A real estate, so we needed to be able to address that need. Our regional priorities for this program have been to create a variety of real estate product across the region, so all parts can participate in this growth, and we've benefited pretty significantly from this program as well. And about 70% of the product that we've brought online since the program inception is leased or sold to an end user. So, we were able to win the West Raffo project because we had a spec building underway. Orbis, which is a company in Urbana, was able to continue to grow instead of having to look at another market in the U.S. because we had a spec building available to them. we offered funding to the city of Springfield for them to build that National Advanced Air Mobility Center of Excellence so we can continue to create the ecosystem for advanced air mobility companies to come to the region. And we've seen projects in the office market as well, specific to the needs of defense contractors. So office product that also offers secure spaces for defense contractors to work with, the likes of NASIC and others, has been a unique product in our portfolio. So although the market's really been somewhat volatile, and many companies are waiting to see, what happens with tariffs and other, we're confident opportunities in the market, and it's really a matter of us doubling down on the core work that we do. So we're focused on discovering new and different leads. Our business retention and expansion visits are up, meeting with companies to try and uncover opportunities for them to grow. How can we direct them to resources to help make those projects come to life? We're cultivating attraction opportunity through our domestic and international business development efforts. We had a 2-week mission trip to Europe earlier this year in partnership with Jobs Ohio to meet with companies and talk about doing business here in the region. We hosted events in conjunction with the NATO programming to really bring more attention to the region and talk about what it's like to do business here. And several of our state leaders recently attended the Paris Air Show, which happens every other year, and met with some of our top aerospace and defense companies, including in the advanced air mobility space, to generate more leads for the region as well. So we're all working all those opportunities as a result. I'm really happy to have participated with your program today. Thanks for giving me the floor for a few minutes. You all are part of what makes the regional economy so successful. You wake up every day thinking about where and how to make great places for individuals to live, and we hope to continue to bring great job opportunities for those folks so that they can have a wonderful quality of life in this region. So thanks for what you do. Thanks for the opportunity. And what you do is very, very important to our economic development work. So we're awfully glad to continue to partner with you. Thank you.
Big thank you to Anne. That was very insightful. I'm going to introduce somebody next. She is so passionate about this. This is definitely her focus, and we are really blessed to work with her through Ohio Realtor Leadership Academy. Veronica Cardello is the Assistant Vice President of External Engagement for Ohio Realtors, where she leads the organization's local advocacy, global business, and sustainability initiatives. Since joining in 2020, she has played a key role in supporting grassroots efforts, strengthening community partnerships, and expanding internal engagement. Veronica also directs issues mobilization, RPAC strategy, and Realtor Party activities, working closely with local associations across the state. Prior to her role at Ohio Realtors, she served as a political field representative for the Pennsylvania Association of Realtors. Veronica holds a Master of Public Policy and Public Administration from American University and a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science from Slippery Rock University. She currently serves on the board of directors for America in Bloom. Thank you.
Oh, come on, we can be louder than that. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you very much for entertaining. Oh, this is really loud. I didn't expect that. I'm so sorry. So I appreciate being here with you today because I'm very excited to show you all the different wonderful things that we are working on at Ohio Realtors. So we have decided to take this leap of faith, if you will, in the development industry, not just because we had a lot of members asking us, hey, what can we really do to help support housing initiatives? And we had a lot of members asking us, how does it all work together with local governments? How does it work together with our realtor associations? What really makes sense? So just by a show of hands, I'm a very interactive person. So I am so sorry you get to be here with me at 10 o'clock on a Tuesday. But needless to say, how many of you have seen this already? Oh, that's beautiful. Twice? Okay. All right. So how many of you have been engaged in what we have produced? Meaning, like, how have you taken this back to your local municipalities, your local associations, anything like that? Yep. Okay. All right. That will start the conversation. We'll get there. We will absolutely get there. So, okay. So we started this venture about 3 years ago at Ohio Realtors. We have several different committees. One of them is Local Government Forum. And in Local Government Forum, all of our realtor members were asking us, what's really impeding development? It's different all across Ohio. No one community is the same, right? So how can we really address what is impeding development? So we contracted with the Greater Ohio Policy Center to really identify some of those factors as to how we can really engage and see what is really taking place in not only our municipality level, but also like at different perspectives. So from the realtor's perspective, what's happening, from the lender perspective, what's happening. So we really wanted to make sure that we had a very well-rounded approach to this. So in that, I will tell you, we found that there were about 25 different policies. 25 different policies. Ordinances, you name it. Anything that was in the administrative code that was really impeding development. Some of them were repetitive. Some of them didn't make sense. So something was adopted we'll just say an ordinance was adopted back in 1930. The standards have changed since 1930, and it was never updated since like 2004. But then nothing was rewritten over that. So it was absolutely wild to see. And I know many of you here are experts in your field, so you know exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to these different policies, right? So out of Local Government Forum, we really wanted to try to address the housing crisis by promoting infill housing development. So we chose this because what we found is we have a lot of vacant lots across the entire state. We worked with the Land Bank Association, and the Land Bank Association was actually very nice. They were able to gather data that suggested we have about 200,000 vacant lots across the whole state. Okay, let that sink in for a second. That's a lot. In some communities, depending on what size, there were 1,500, and that was most of the community. So like we have been demolishing, the state has given all of our municipalities a lot of money throughout the years for the past, we'll say 2 decades or so, to demolish vacant, blighted, abandoned properties. You have some brownfield money that goes into renovation as well. But what was happening is nobody had a game plan to put something back on that property. And then because we have changed the codes, depending on where you're at, so many times what was happening is it became non-conforming use. So you couldn't put anything on that property. So now you've still got vacancy and you have no idea what to do with that property. So it became a very tricky situation pretty quickly. So what we did is, like I said, this took about 3 years in the making. So it's been a long time coming. We decided that we were going to put together an independent advisory committee that were made up of builders, developers, different housing advocates. So we had the Land Bank Association, we had Ohio, we had all of these different housing advocates at the state level. We had realtor members, architects, planners, city leaders. We got everybody together, and this is probably why it took 2 years, because trying to coordinate schedules all across the state was a little tricky. But needless to say, we were really determined to get this done. So we asked everybody from their perspective, what is impeding housing in their region? Because we know that there's not a one-size-fits-all model. Everybody is different in Ohio, right? So when we got everybody together, we realized the project was actually a lot bigger than what we had thought. So it wasn't just necessarily zoning codes, it was actually a playbook. Because in some communities, they hire a planner or they hire a developer, and that planner or developer has to go through a lot of research to figure out what could actually fit on that lot, right? So it became a much bigger problem than what we had realized. So out of that, our advisory committee was very passionate, very dedicated, and they wanted to see tangible solutions. Tangible solutions. We didn't want just something to sit on a shelf. So out of those tangible solutions, what we were able to come up with was this entire book, if you will, that has a la carte zoning adjustments. So we're talking about small, minor changes. I think when we went and started this venture, I will tell you, the craziest ordinance that I read was that for every single family house, you had to have 6 parking spaces. Yeah, I know. For all you planners out there, that's a lot of parking. That's a lot of parking. I know. So we were kind of taken aback by that, because if that's happening in one community, who copy pasted repeated in other communities, right? So that was one of the things that we wanted to make sure we addressed. The other thing we wanted to address was setback lines, because a lot of folks had repetitive setback lines in their code. So we put together some, like I said, they're small changes. If you already have them, great. This is not applicable to you, but if you don't have them, it's something that we would highly encourage you to take a look at. And these are all recommendations. These are not like Ohio Realtor saying, hey, you're gonna do this. This is us saying, hey, this is what we found in our research. These are the small, tangible things that you can make changes to, and it will make sense for your area. So then what we did is we designed 2 free building plans. F-R-E-E, that spells free? Yeah? Right? So 2 free building plans, because that was another component to this that we didn't realize was actually impeding development. Our realtor members can sit here and tell you that when you are sitting down with a client and you're trying to figure out, like, hey, what kind of house, like, do you want to buy a house in this neighborhood? Do you want to build in this neighborhood? From start to finish, that was one of the costs that was really impeding development across the entire state, because we couldn't get a finite number on what it actually costs to come up with a building design. And I say finite number because I will tell you, we'll just generalize, in more urban areas of Ohio, it is significantly more expensive to develop a building plan than it is in rural areas of Ohio. It was staggering, because I think one of the ones we just did, we were working on a cost-benefit analysis across the state, and we were shocked at one of the plans to do the same, like, 1,600 square house that we put out there for a urban area versus a rural area. The difference was almost $50,000. So that was one of the biggest things that we saw as an impediment to development. So we wanted to put together this plan so that they were free building plans. Anyone can use them. It was something that our committee was very passionate about, very, very passionate about. So the last thing that we did was we said, hey, we want to make sure that we're setting everybody up for success. So we put together an entire start to finish pre-approved program guide that shows you in a municipality, if you're coming from that perspective, how you can implement this locally and how it can make a difference locally. So it does not have all the answers, I will say that, but it does have a majority of the bulk of the things that we were looking at when we did our analysis. So how can the zoning changes help? What we found is that many of the lots, out of everything that the Land Bank Association have given us, they were considered unbuildable. They were unbuildable because of different requirements across the state. What it took to adopt zoning changes, it depended on the area. Sometimes it could be months. Sometimes it could be easily as 2 weeks. The longest one I saw on the books was it took, for one zoning change, it took about 1.5 years, and that's because nobody agreed. Nobody had a general consensus on what made sense. So we found that these, our current zoning codes often really prohibited that development because they didn't meet the market demand. Our zoning codes sometimes in certain cases were so outdated that the market demand was completely different than what it was, again, going back to 1930. So a lot of our different zoning codes that we have across the state, they're not all unified. Not all unified, so, and rightfully so. Every area is different. Every area is different. So then we decided with the free building plans, with the cost of new development, everything's increasing, everything's expensive. To make it free, it would really lower the design fee and the architectural fee that many of our homeowners were experiencing, even developers. Because quite a few, since we've launched this, and I will tell you, this is, I will say it's still in its infancy, if you will. We launched this on March 25th of this year. In 24 hours, we had over 400 people download the free building plans. In 48 hours, we had over 1,500 people download the free building plans. So it was absolutely remarkable to see, and then everybody started asking questions of how can we implement this here, how can we do this there. This was a really great idea. I've had realtor members actually come up to me and say, hey, I actually gave this to my client. And I said, if they want to build an infill lot, say in downtown Dayton or Centerville or wherever you're at throughout the state, Cleveland Heights either, it made it so much easier and tangible for them to see that it's actually possible. Home ownership is possible. So that really spoke to bringing new life to the conversation. So with our two free building plans, we have several different options. If you want to follow along in the book, you are more than welcome to. So we're looking at page, it starts on page 12. On page 12, like I said, I'm very interactive, not your typical speaker. But our narrow single family house, we have two different designs for that. We have a 2-bedroom house. We also have a 3-bedroom with a first floor bedroom. On our versatile front back duplex, we have two separate units. This is my favorite rendition because of how versatile it can be. So we were able to do a two-story in the front, a 1-story in the back, then we did two 2-stories, and then we were able to combine them all to one giant single-family house. And we'll go over the details here in a minute. So, if you're, like I said, if you're following along in the book, our narrow single-family house starts out at 2-bedroom, 2.5 bath, with the optional first floor 3rd bedroom. If you're looking at the rendition, it's on page 15. So everything in the big black bold lines is the basic of the house, and then everything in the blue is the, there we go, everything in the blue dotted lines, that's optional. It's something that was optional that we added. So at its very core, this 2-bedroom, 2.5 bath is 1,112 square feet. It fits on a lot size that is a minimum of 30 feet. A minimum of 30 feet, and that's including setback lines. So with that being said, you can go as far as deep as the lot as you want. So if you want to stretch the home out, you are more than welcome to do so. If you want to make that lot size itself applicable to adding an accessory dwelling unit in the back or a garage or something like that, you are more than welcome to do so, as long as it's within the city guidelines or the municipality guidelines. So in this particular rendition, we wanted to make sure that, again, versatility was the name of the game. Our team was very committed to making sure that we could do this across the state. So after you look at the base version, you can add on a 3rd bedroom. A 3rd bedroom would be added on to the first floor in the back. That would make this a 3-bedroom, 3.5 bath at 1,423 square feet. So if you wanted to add the sleeping porch option as well, and I know what you're all thinking, what is a sleeping porch? I get this question all the time. So if you are thinking about vacationing in like Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, any of the southern states, we stole this out of their playbook. A sleeping porch is an additional, it's like an additional bonus room. So what they used to use the sleeping porch for was back in the day when people could take naps in the middle of the day. You could actually have the porch either open or enclosed. So if you did either, you could actually go out and take a nap in the middle of the day or in the evening or whenever you preferred, and that's why they called it a sleeping porch. Okay? So with this design, what we were able to do is in the renditions, if you go and download it, you'll see that we actually beefed up the sleeping porch because we wanted to make sure that we had an optional child's playroom, an office, a home gym, something like that along those lines, so that you had bonus space to use. And with that, you're looking at an additional 132 square feet. And if you enclose that itself, you're looking at a single family house of about 1,600 square feet in totality. So again, something that our developers, they were really passionate about. They wanted to make sure that you had that versatility, and they wanted to make sure no house was the same. So that's why they provided different options. You can add on a third bedroom if you need it. You can add on the sleeping porch if you need it. If you don't, it's the core at its base. It's 2-bedroom, 2.5 bath. So with our versatile front back duplex, this was the option that we decided we were going to do 3 different things with. Like I mentioned before, we've got a 2-story in the front, so that's going to stay the same. And then we have a 1-story in the back or a 2-story in the back, and then we also have an option where you can combine all of them. So, in our 1-story rear unit plan, this is my favorite of all the renditions. Everyone, at the end of this, you will be able to say this is my favorite because what we did here is we wanted to make sure that we had the option to allow for families to stay in place. So if my parents, if I'm thinking about building a house, I may consider building this duplex style where it's 2 stories in the front, 1 story in the back, so that I have a 1 story in the back for my parents to come and stay with me, or my mother-in-law. I love my mother-in-law. So she can come and watch my 3 doodles. Like, I think it would be phenomenal to have her come watch my 3 doodles. So when we did this, a couple of things. Our committee was very concerned about the older housing stock that we had. They were also concerned that we weren't addressing the needs of all the different folks that are aging in place right now. And we don't have enough patio homes. We don't have enough facilities. We don't have enough of the different style resources that we should have for all of our different, our older population. So when they designed this, they were like, hey, we can actually do something really cool here. So if you wanted to have 2 separate units, you can absolutely have 2 separate units, and you can rent this out if you want. The goal of this is home ownership, but I'm not going to deter someone because you can own the front unit if you want and rent out the back unit. Because a lot of people actually, since I've been doing this, have said to me, hey, I've got an 18-year-old that I need to teach them responsibility. I'm like, if you're brave enough, you can put them in the back. If you're brave enough, I don't know. So they have 2 separate entrances. They also have 2 separate entrances to the rear of the property as well. One has a covered patio, the other does not. Then with this particular unit, the front unit itself at its base, at its core, is 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bath, 1,420 square feet. The rear unit itself is an additional 1 bedroom, 1 bath at 580 square feet. So you're looking at a width of a home of 30 feet. So this would fit on a lot size of 40 feet. A lot size of 40 feet. And then again, the length is as long as you need to make it. Right? So with this option, we decided that we were going to make sure in all of the renditions that you had that optional interior connection wall. It's called a sound isolation wall. It is up to code. It is up to fire standards. I get those questions all the time too. So that sound barrier, that sound isolation wall, that gives you a lot of privacy, especially if you want to make sure that there are 2 separate units itself. With the 2-story rear unit plan, so this is the 2-story and the 2-story. This one is also one of my favorites because you can also have that sound isolation wall. You can have an interior connection if you want. You don't have to have the interior connection. but this gives you a lot of different options. Again, at its core, it's 1,420 square feet. This particular rear unit adds an additional 1,160 square feet. So it's pretty sizable. It adds an additional 2 bedrooms and 2.5 baths. So if you're looking at the front unit, you've got 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bath. The back unit is 2 bedrooms, 2.5 bath. So you got a lot of bedrooms and a lot of bathrooms. With this option, though, you absolutely can take this option and make it one single family house. You can take the other option as well and make that one single family house. If you wanted to do that, it's 4 bedrooms, 3.5 bath. It's 2,002 square feet. Again, you can add a porch on if you want to, or if you don't want to. This is not a sleeping porch, so it's not as wide or as long as the sleeping porch option. But we wanted to make sure people, if they're front, I don't remember the proper terminology, but when you go outside, you greet your neighbors, you're sitting on the front porch enjoying your iced tea. Anybody? No? I know, like, there's a terminology for it, and I'm drawing a blank right now. Absolutely drawing a blank. I don't know. My neighborhood's full of it. Like, all my neighbors, they like to come outside, sit on their front porch around 7:30, and just say hi, wave, do that fun stuff. So, who knows? Okay, so how can pre-approval programs help? I cannot add any more P's to this. A pre-approval program, what we have found is that it actually expedites the permitting process. It eases a lot of regulatory barriers for our municipalities. It also reduces costs for potential homeowners. We preserve the neighborhood character because with these designs, what we did is we just focused on the interior. We did not focus on any of the exterior. So if your community requires hardy backer board or slate roofing or anything like that, you are absolutely more than welcome to do that with these designs. We made sure that they were very versatile in that regard. So we wanted to really focus on promoting the stabilization of existing neighborhoods with this project. And that's because since we do have so many vacant lots across the entire state, this would really help drive home. 200,000 vacant lots means 200,000 potential homeowners, 200,000 potential families. The possibilities are absolutely endless if we can focus on infill development, and that's what we did. Now, we have had a couple folks ask me, can we take these renditions and can we make a brand new community? Yes, you can. The thing that I'm going to say, though, is it does not reduce the cost at that point, because now our goal would be to, where is the infrastructural dollars coming? Where are all these other dollars coming? The reason why we wanted to focus on infill is, in theory, everything's in theory till it's in practice. In theory, you already have access to all of those utilities if it's a lot that is infill. Okay, so that was another cost-saving measure that we were able to do. So all of our different efforts, like I said, have been thought out thoroughly with a lot of folks in mind, a lot of different things happening. When it comes to existing pre-approval programs, I will tell you that they are catching on in droves. I can sit here and honestly attest to you all, 2 weeks before we launched this project, and my realtors will tell you I'm very upset about this, Canada beat us to the punch. So Canada decided that they were going to launch an entire nationwide program. They did 49 patterns for the entire nation of Canada. 49 patterns. It was a lot. Yeah, have you seen the article? Have you seen the patterns? Yeah, they're pretty cool. Really, really cool to check out. But they launched theirs 2 weeks prior to us. They spent a lot more money than we did, I will tell you that. But they did that. They were the first with regard to nations to implement a program like this. Michigan, it's hit or miss. Some communities have adopted pre-approval programs, but they've done it on their own. They haven't done it as a state. Vermont has allowed for a lot of different technical assistance programs from the state to do it on your own. So if you're a community in Vermont, you can go and ask for technical assistance from the state and see how that applies. But in terms of states, Ohio is the first to implement a wide variety of it, talking about zoning, talking about financing tools, talking about actually free housing plans. So we were the first to do that in its totality. And I say that very confidently because I talk to my peers all the time, and nobody else, there are quite a few states that are thinking about replicating after us, absolutely. But this is one of the first programs to actually really get off the ground and running. So as I mentioned before, we released this in March 2025. This will take you to all the online resources. The book is great. The book is absolutely great, but the online resources are better because we update that live time. I will tell you that we've added a lot of financing tools to help with these different projects. So you can go online and you can check that out. We are recording the number of municipalities. Since March, I will say that we've probably had about 30 municipalities all across the state that have changed their zoning codes, and they've actually thought about this with this in mind, because some of them actually knew about this project, knew it was coming down, so they've already implemented it. Lima being one of them, Cleveland Heights being another, Youngstown being another. So it's been a wild array of communities that have been able to make those changes. I know the city of Sandusky actually put out a request for proposal to work with developers up in Sandusky to make these different housing types, to start with single family and to start with duplex style. I will tell you, if you want to adopt this, you're more than welcome to. If you want to design different ones, you are more than welcome to. We just gave you the playbook so you can build off of it how you see fit for your community. So if you have any questions, I'm ready. Yes, sir.
I know a lot of these infill houses, or originally when the house was built, they all had garages. Now that they're a vacant lot, do you have any garage plans to complement the housing plan?
We don't have any garage plans, and we didn't do that because there were so many different requirements across the state. It made it very challenging to put together something like that, because some of them require, some municipalities actually require the garage to be an accessory dwelling unit. So it was, I know, right? It's been absolutely wild to see how many people with all the different requirements. So if you want to do that, you're more than welcome to. You can add it to whatever plans that you see fit.
And what about a material list for a particular house? Let's say I own a vacant lot in a neighborhood and I want to build on it. For me to try to figure out what my exact cost would be, if I had a material list that I could go and see what the material is going to cost and give me a basic estimate of what the overall cost would be.
So unfortunately, we couldn't provide a material list because we tried that. We when we first when all of our team got together, they were like, let's do a material list. Then when we went through the cost benefit analysis process, we found that it wasn't going to be actually a true material list because each community required something different. Some communities required hardy backer board, which is more expensive than traditional vinyl siding. Other communities required a specific type of roofing shingle. So we couldn't provide that material list because of the different dynamics in each community. Now, if that's something that the community wants to produce itself, they absolutely can. We're not going to shy away from that, but I will tell you, I took our rendition, I took our design plan specifically to, I think it was like 84 Lumber, and they were able to give me a material list. So you can go to you can go to a lumber yard or something like that, and they are able to provide that. Now, again, you're going to have to check with all your regulations. I am not sitting here saying that, that's going to be the finite way. But I will also say that I've been working with, since we launched this, I've been working with a modular company up in Cleveland, and fingers crossed, knock on wood, lucky rabbit's foot, we'll have a spec home in October, because they were able to take a copy of our plan and put it into the modular style. When they did that, they were actually able to drive the cost down between that price point of $200,000 and $300,000. So, but that's with modular. That is not traditional stick built. Yes, ma'am.
So, along with Scott's question, right?
Yeah.
So I understand the variability, but do you have takeoffs?
When you say takeoffs.
Well, like we need so many linears cycles.
Oh yes. So we kept everything as broad as we could. We just couldn't give you a detailed list of okay, you need we can give you 24 boxes of shingles, but we couldn't give you the shingle type. Yeah.
So they do have a takeoff.
Yes. Other questions? Excited? Yeah? Not so excited? Okay. Yes, ma'am. So we actually, there's a community outside of Columbus that reached out to us, and they're trying to construct entirely new build. So it's not going to be as cost saving as I mentioned before because they don't have the accessibility to all the utilities right now. So there's one community that's trying to do it. Sandusky just put out an RFP for all of their vacant lots. They took an inventory of all their vacant lots and they said, hey, we want builders up here. So we do have some pockets. Like I said, I'm really fingers crossed we're going to have a spec home built in October. That's my goal. But if you think about it from start to finish, we launched this in March. To have a house built by October, we're really excited. We're absolutely excited. So, Miss Kelly, I saw your hand. Yeah. In the book? No, but if you go to housingoh.org, yeah, housingoh.org, you can go on there, you can build a profile, so it's just so we can see who's building profiles. It's not going to send you spam, I promise. It's not going to send you to all these different other places, but you can go on there, build a profile, and you can download right directly from there. And you can mix and match with types of housing. So we do have a running list of all the different communities that we've been working with that have decided to make those changes, implement those changes, and see where we're going. But we're really excited to see what traction it takes. Some individual builders have actually said, hey, I love this. We're going to take your plans and we're going to build upon it. Because some communities, like I mentioned, the city of Lima is a good case in point because they have 1,500 vacant lots in Lima. Yeah, 1,500 vacant lots in Lima. And they have been working really, really hard with all of their developers up there to incentivize them to fill all of those vacant lots because they fall within the parameters that we have built. So they're excited to use this guideline. Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Not built to a high residential code modular, or do you mean like factory built off-site and it is to a high residential, so you plot it down?
Second option.
Okay.
Yeah. So this company was super excited. They've been following our journey since we started this 3 years ago. So they said, hey, we really want to make this an opportunity. So they're actually working with Habitat for Humanity up in Cleveland to build 3 of them. So in theory, everything's in theory until it's in practice. It should work. Yes, ma'am.
When you said you had a housing model prior to you embarking on this, you said it costs twice as much to build in the urban center as it did in a rural location.
Yes.
What caused that?
So that is a really great question. When we were looking at our cost-benefit analysis from across the state, we found that ease in access to materials as well as labor. It really depended on where you were. Like, I really thought it was going to be cheaper to build in rural Ohio. Not the case, because they have to pay the shipping costs to get everything into that particular area. And that offset the labor costs, and that's what drove up the cost for the house. So comparably, you could look at the same $400,000 house in a similar community, and it just wasn't, it didn't make sense. Yeah. All right, I think that's my time. Thank you. Yeah.
If you're building these houses on inner city lots, do you think the individuals building these houses would have the resources to build a house that's 300,000 or 400,000?
Would they have the resources? Quite honestly, it really depends on the community, and I know that's a very political answer, but it really depends on the community and the resources that you're willing to provide. Because what we found is some communities were able to do different financing options. I will say that other specific lenders across the state, they've been able to help, and they've been able to say, hey, this falls within these different program guides within our lending So we would like to be a resource for these different folks that want to build homes on infill lots. So they're providing those resources. I think First National Bank's one of them. There's a couple other ones as well. But it's really going to be dependent upon the amenities and things that you're able to pull together for that community. So we got the resource guide together so that we could provide those resources, but we didn't want to infringe upon the ability for that community to make decisions. So, you're very welcome.
Thank you, Veronica.
Thank you.
Okay, so a couple of housekeeping items. We have a bag on the table that's being passed around, and what I'd like to do is collect your business cards. Some of you may have came in and didn't get your name tag, so I'm going to not know if you're in the room, so this is another way for me just to check that. And we're going to do a gift card giveaway. So I'm going to keep you hostage until I get some information from you. One is so that you get a gift card, the other is so that we get your feedback at the end of this event. And to Veronica's point and to some of the great questions that were coming out, we want to look at this as a starting point, right? And this is bringing our municipalities together along with some of our lenders. We've got private investors in the room. We have builders. We have developers. All of these conversations can get started now so that we can think outside of the box of what has been, so that we can address this issue. So while we are focusing right now on the infill project, it may be that this becomes a workforce housing opportunity. It may be that, as our next presenter is going to share with us, this idea of pre-approved state plans at a variety of options available make it where somebody can easily decide what home they want to construct and have built for them. So with that being said, I also want to make sure that you did get a parking pass when you checked in. So if you slipped in here and you didn't get your name badge, you may not have gotten a parking pass. If you raise your hand, we'll make sure you get a parking pass. And if, by the way, you fold it or you do anything to crinkle it, then it may not read easily in the QR code scanner when you go out. So I just want to make sure you're going to be able to get out of here without having to pay for that, okay? Next up, we are so glad to have with us, as everyone said, when they got this booklet, they kind of were excited and they wanted to make sure they were sharing that information with people that could do something with it or think about it. And what it did for me was remind me that a couple of years ago, through our global committee, we went through and saw a factory tour of Unibuild. And this is in our hometown area. So what a great parlay over to them that they have already been doing this. And here we are now coming up with some very similar ideas. And they were so excited about that they wanted to come in and share with us. So I'm going to go ahead and get them set up with their presentation. And Greg Barney is the president of Unibuilt. He's going to come up and share with us some exciting information and give you some more insight. So you do have this. You want to go straight to the slideshow from beginning. And then this is a pointer for whatever you need there.
Good.
Okay? It's all
I'll
you.
need more technical help.
Okay, you're good.
Okay, thanks. All right, thank you, Tammy. As Tammy said, my name is Greg Barney. I'm the president of Unibuilt Industries. Have with me John Ellis, our regional sales manager, and Clay Barney, our production engineer. So if after the presentation you have any more questions or need some detail I can't answer, those two can help you. And while I'm thinking about it, Clay has some of these brochures we put together for an infill project. It kind of highlights some of the projects we've done in the past. Has some plans that we're doing in different communities now, and some benefits of infill, using modular for infill housing, which I'll talk a little bit about here in my presentation. First, I'll do an introduction to Unibuilt. Even though we're here in town, I talked to a lot of people in Vandalia. It's like, where are you guys at? And we have a 120,000 square foot facility on I-70, and they've never been there. So introduce you to Unibuilt. Maybe what is modular construction. The last presentation started to talk about modular, so it'd be a good segue into what it is and how it can help with infill affordable housing projects. In particular, I talk a little bit about infill affordable housing projects. I'll talk about some of the projects we've done over the past 25 years in that regard. And then this was based off another presentation we did in Cleveland that had a lot of specifics. So we do have some what I call infill considerations when we're talking to different groups. There's some things to look out for when you're considering modular for infill projects. And then we have some pictures and a video of a project in Columbus that we did probably now 6 or 7 years ago. And the other thing I want to talk about is, as time allows, is one of the best marketing tools we have is doing a tour of our facility. Because, a lot of people when they come to our facility, they really, I always ask what their expectations are, and they're all varied. And it's always interesting when they leave, I get the comment a lot of times, well, why would you build a house any other way? We always use the example, would you buy a car and have them dump a pile of parts in your driveway and have them assemble it? And that's the way we continue to buy housing, it's, and I used to site build. I used to be a stick builder, and I converted about 10 years ago. So I can kind of speak both. There's a place for both, certainly, but so I think the production facility walkthrough, I'll skip through it, but it's kind of important to kind of show you what modular is and what the benefits are, especially with infill housing. And then talk a little bit at the end about how do we work together. We have authorized builders in the 5 states we work in, but we also work directly with land banks, CDCs, different arrangements, more project-focused type work, and then any questions. But certainly, as I talk about anything, please stop me and ask a question, as we go. So, Unibone Industries, we've been around since 1969 in our same location. The building has grown, but we've operated out of the same location since 1969. We're approaching 13,000 homes we've built since 1969. Majority of our homes are in Ohio, but we do sell in Michigan, Indiana, Kentucky, and West Virginia. So we operate in 5 states. We have builder representation in most of those areas. But we're approaching, I think we're just shy, about 20 homes shy, or 30 homes, John, of 13,000 homes since 1969. We're the largest modular manufacturer in Ohio, especially from a residential perspective. Facility is, which is in the brochure. We have about 120,000 square feet under roof, 20 acres, and we're located at I-70 and I-75. So everything, part of modular is, what we promote is we build in a controlled environment. Our materials come in tarped. They never see rain. We check the moisture before we unload. We bring it into our warehouse. All the construction's inside. So that's one thing we heavily promote. There's certainly elements of mold and lumber. All you got to do is add water. But when you're site building, you have rain, snow, so forth. So we have a very large warehouse and facility where we can bring everything indoors, other than some obvious things like shingles and so forth we store outside. But we sell through a network of builders, approved builders in those 5 states we work in. But like I said, we also work directly with, we worked with the Cleveland Land Bank, Hamilton County Land Bank, working with some CDCs in Columbus right now. So we have those arrangements as well that we work directly out of our facility with. So what is modular construction? And again, a little deeper into this, I'll have a plant tour, picture tour that'll kind of explain it a little bit more. But modular construction is built to the same code as you would site build. It's the same exact residential code in all the 5 states. We have to adhere to their residential code. It's just built in very large sections and brought out to the foundation and set on the foundation with a large crane. Our product typically has more adhesives in it. It has structurally has more wood in it, because you got to understand that it has to exist or go through a route of 60, 65 miles down the highway. We got to pick it up with a crane and set it on the foundation. So by its nature, it has to be a strong build to withstand the movement. And another, like I said, another important point of modular, it's built in a controlled environment. Everything's indoors. Our plant's not air conditioned, but it's heated in the wintertime. All materials are stored indoors. And what that allows us to do, the next point is no weather delays. If it's raining, snowing, sleet, whatever's doing outside, we're producing. So, if we have if we start a house today, we can tell exactly when it's going to come offline and not have any weather delays or any issues like that. Now, people showing up on snow days and so forth is a different issue. Everybody fights that issue, but as far as weather delays, that's one of the benefits is modular. The only time weather ever plays into what we're doing is our delivery process. When we take a house out and uncover it, obviously if heavy rain, we can't do it during heavy rains or anything like that. The other benefit of modular is we have constant supervision and quality assurance on our production floor. We have supervisors throughout our plant that's constantly monitoring, what's being done and the quality of what's being done. And we also have a quality assurance program through the state of Ohio that it's very regimented that we follow to make sure the proper fasteners are being used, proper adhesives, the proper grades of wood, and so forth. And the way that works with modular is we submit to the Board of Building Standards has a department. These are called industrialized units. So we'll submit, our state submittals are typically 40 to 50 pages. We submit for approvals. They send it back to us, and we have to build it exactly as we submitted it. So once it hits the production floor, there's no change orders. There's no, we can't pull it aside. And somebody calls in and say, we want to move a wall. That's why it's very important to our builders on the upfront into things to make sure they have the design down and review their customers and selections, because once it starts, there's no changes can be made. And then our quality assurance has to follow it through the plant and document it's, with a traveler through the plant every step of the way, and we're regulated by the state. And then the local builder, they take our state submittals, and they do have to submit locally for a permit, because locally they're looking at the foundation the builder's putting in, if they're building garages or porches attached to the home, that all gets inspected locally. So it's kind of a bifurcated process. That question always comes up, and it's actually most communities we work in throughout Ohio, pretty much all communities now are very familiar with modular, very familiar with the process. But it is bifurcated, and there are inspections that are required on site of the local builder. Modular projects shortened overall timeline. As we're building, like I said, if we're starting a house today, our builders know exactly when it's going to come offline, so they actually will time their foundation, so you're running a parallel schedule at that point, so you can shorten that build time, which hopefully reduces cost of the overall project. Time equals cost on any project, and if you can shorten that time down, it makes a big difference on cost. And as I said, we'll transport large modular sections to the job site and set them on the foundation with a crane. We've done typical ranch house, or sometimes 2 modules, sometimes 3. We did a house in West Virginia a few years ago that was 7 modules, about 4,600 square feet. And we kind of cover a broad range. We do affordable housing projects, and John's working with a developer. They're single-family detached condos. They sell for 1.3, 1.5 million. So we're a little bit of a more of a boutique, I guess, in that kind of sense. And we can do one-offs. You know, we have builders that come to us with plans, and we're nimble enough we can do one-offs as well. But, you know, certainly for the infill affordable housing, repetition and, you know, simplification of design, so the site work, you know, it's, you know, that condo project has a high degree of site work that needs done, whereas, you know, infill projects we try to promote projects that are, the site work is more limited in scope. So again, time on the project. And when we deliver a house, it's generally 85% complete. We set it on the foundation, it's weathered in, it's typically, unless it's getting metal roofs, there's shingles on the roof, it's roof shingled, it's wrapped with house wrap, it's lockable. When we do infill projects in a lot of communities, the builder will put an alarm in day one on the house. So it's definitely a more secure setting versus a stick build. So infill affordable housing, shortened time on the project, which I already mentioned, and less disruption to the neighborhood. So, you know, you get the foundation built. We come in for a day. We're typically there maybe 6, 7, 8 hours. Depends on the house. And typically, you'll see a couple of photos here. The block where the house is going in is typically closed for the day. And we have to watch our routing in and out and parking and so forth. But, you know, that one day we're in there, and then the house is set on a foundation, and it's, like I said, it's at least 85% complete. So it's less disruption to an infill neighborhood in the process versus trucks in and out for a period of 6 months. And actually we found that, you know, when you close these neighborhoods off, we bring in a very large crane. You know, a lot of people like to watch, and it's kind of offsets the aggravation of being, you know, your street being closed down for the day. So most people come out and watch and kind of enjoy watching the process. For infill, like I said, it's more secure, it's lockable, weathered in at the time of the set. You know, a lot of times, projects we're doing in Columbus, we've probably done over, in the last 6 years, 7 years, 200 units in Columbus, in the South neighborhood, in the Linden neighborhood, currently in the Linden neighborhood off Cleveland. You know, there's also stick builders in the neighborhood. You know, lumber disappears. Builder had a house after it was framed caught on fire. Whereas the only thing we've experienced, and for the most part, was maybe a nuisance broken window. If a subcontractor leaves a tool within sight, you know, somebody throws a rock through a window, grabs a tool or whatever. You know, so it's a lot less subject to the vandalism and the theft on infill type building. And another advantage, you can lock in your vertical construction cost component. You know, with us, you know, we go through the plans, we make selections, and then, you know, your final cost, you sign a contract, and you know, you're not, you know, no change orders. We build it, we deliver it, and that's it. So you got a guaranteed construction cost element at that point. It's an efficient path to meet green building standards. We've done LIHTC projects that are LEED certified. I've done green builds of different degree. We can. It's easier for us to meet green building standards because of, number one, we recycle a lot of components. You know, our vinyl siding, our wire, our offcuts of wood. If we don't use it for blocking, we take it to a gentleman that makes mulch out of our wood. So our actual waste component is significantly less than a site build. So we track that for these projects. Generally, when we're doing a LEED certified or a green build, we may change some specs on some plumbing fixtures, but generally, I mean, that's about it. I mean, that's you score a lot of points with our type of construction in those type of projects. And you've seen some of the pictures, the construction methods we use provide for a more energy efficient home at the end of the day for the homeowner. A lot of things we do that give the home strength, such as some of the adhesives, and translate into a stronger, more energy efficient home for the home buyer at the end of the day. So generally our HERS ratings are considerably lower, our blower door tests, than what you would find on a site-built home. They're just more airtight the way they're built, which you'll see in a minute. When we're talking about infill, I mean, some of the things, you know, a lot of people get all excited and they call me and say, I got perfect lots for infill. Power lines are an issue. You know, we don't, you know, crane companies, we won't lift over electric lines. We did a house in Columbus not long ago, we had to lift over pretty heavy fiber lines, and actually it took three different crane companies to get able to do that. So, you know, when you're looking at any lots, typically, you know, Google Earth's a wonderful tool. We have people call in and say, hey, I'm looking at these addresses, take a look at them, and then we'll send somebody out to look at them. So power lines, you know, lot widths, fire separation, you know, and these infill, we're dealing with that all day long. The Veronica showed we're building a house very similar to that first house plan that she showed. We're part of our Welcome Home program in Sandusky, actually. We're building 34 homes up there. I think we've got, a dozen built so far in the yard, waiting for foundations. And, you know, lot widths are always an issue, you know, and when you get into that narrow, it's 2 modules. We have a 60-foot module with a downstairs bedroom. It's, like I said, very similar to that plan. We have two bedrooms upstairs and a shorter module. You can fit those in some very narrow lots. A lot of our duplexes built in Columbus will have, you know, fire separation walls on the outside and the inside, and you know, we're used to dealing with very, very tight lot situations. And typically, when we're in infill situations, we need module staging areas where, when we bring modules into town, like in Columbus, for example, and normally a Columbus set would be a 1 day out, 1 day back. But navigating the streets, we have to bring them to a staging area, and then the set day, bring them from that staging area over, because it slows things down navigating some of the streets. And road closure and parking control, and those are the primary considerations. We're dealing with affordable housing and infill. I think I have a few pictures. So this is a project we did in Cincinnati and Walnut Hills for Hamilton County Port Authority. There's 6 houses on this road, and John didn't want me to show the pictures because of the power lines, because I just said power lines are an issue. But it does show, like, the city wanted that wall maintained, that stone retaining wall, and obviously the power lines weren't going to go anywhere. So if we had to set from the front, this would be a no-go on these lots. We were fortunate enough, this was an old industrial site, and we had a very wide alley in the back where we could get in from the rear alley entrance. So, you know, when I mentioned earlier, power lines are an obstacle. If we can get in, a lot of times we can't, but if we can get in, you got to figure we're bringing in 80 feet of truck and an all-terrain crane into these lots. So when you've got an alley that's overgrown at about 8 foot wide, 10 foot wide, and a very narrow throat to pull into, you know, unless you're dragging it across somebody's yard, which most people tend to not like that because we leave very heavy ruts. You know, so, but this particular case, that's why I wanted to show it. It's like, you know, don't automatically rule it out, but be aware power lines are an issue. But we did 6 houses here, I think 1 or 2, one you can't see, on Walnut Hills. And then we did another 6, which I think I have some pictures of, in Evanston on St. Ledger. This is the house set in Troy. Just to give an example of, you know, when we move in, we pretty much take the whole block. Our modules are on the other side of that crane. Once the crane comes in, sets up with counterweights, puts its outriggers out, and then starts picking our modules. You can see here, you know, we're kind of threading the needle here a little bit. This lot was, 30 foot wide? It's Clay's house. It was 30 foot wide. So we actually ended up lifting over a little bit of the corner of that house on the right. The trusses you see are for the garage. That's built on site typically. Doesn't really make sense to do the expensive modular for garages or porches or anything like that. This is the houses on St. Ledger for the Port Authority in Cincinnati. That was a 4-bedroom, 2-story. They did some 2.5 stories in their project. And I think we got a video next of, this is a set in Columbus. Like I said, we've done about 200 units for this group in Columbus, and this, I think, was the very first build we did for them. Give you an idea of what's involved in a infill set. I think it's about a minute or so long. This is a small 3-bedroom, 1,200 square foot, 2-story house. We probably did about 30 of these in Columbus as part of that project. Most of the homes they built up there on basements because there were lots that there were houses on them prior, and most of the time with the tear downs, the soil conditions aren't the best. That's the other thing you have to be aware of with infill lots. I mean, you're dealing with probably a house that's been torn down, and in the older days, the foundation might not have been cleaned out very well. So they just automatically go to basements on their lots. The way this one goes together, this particular one, the other half of that roof will be shingled on site.
Rick, so you said this can be done in one day?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That house, we're probably, 4 or 5 hours setting that house once we get in there and set it. Yeah. A ranch home, sometimes we can be there 4 hours. I mean, that's a good day, of getting there and back. We hit snags too. I mean, we were doing one of these houses about 2 months ago, and the builder wasn't aware that where we staged in Columbus is off of, it's a crane yard off of 71 somewhere. And they had the exit we were getting off, they had a 3-day concert, and we got stuck in 2 hours of traffic. And it was a stretch getting done because our drivers are also our set crew. They get out and they're limited to the number of hours they can work in a day. They're limited to a 14-hour day. They typically get into our yard at 7 o'clock, load and go, but they got to be back in our yard by 9 o'clock. They're regulated by, and they have long days. Our set crew works very long days in the summertime. We do houses, and we just did one in Put in Bay. We've probably done over 100 houses on the island. We'll take them up, put them on the ferry, go across whatever island, Kelly's Island, Put in Bay. It's a very popular, method to build on the islands. It's expensive, ferry ride, but versus bringing trucks of material over, the crane will get on the ferry and come over, and then we'll set and come home. That's typically a two day set. So some days we have a travel day, and then we set the next day and come home. So like I said, I don't know where I'm at on time. I'll go through these kind of fast with these are kind of the plant tour type things. We've been in our building since 1969. I'll tell people it's not the prettiest building sometimes, but it keeps us dry. We're not going to run any beauty contests, but it's clean and dry. This was the original manufacturing facility. It's now a warehouse where we store materials. We store everything indoors. One of the things we promote is our saw shop, where probably 95% of our material or better is cut in this shop. And this component saw, he's running floor joists there. So he'll run a package of floor joists in about 15, 20 minutes. And every one is cut to the exact precise length. There's 5 saw blades in here. We can make multiple cuts at one time, scarf cuts for different components and so forth. So what he'll do is call out of the lumber, look for crown, wane, whatever, and then call it out. The stuff that's unacceptable. We have standards we have to meet through our quality assurance program, and then so this is all cut and then goes into where we build our decks for assembly. We press our own trusses. You'll see a little later on a truss drawing or a truss component that shows you how we fold our trusses down. There's a hinge component to our truss, and we can meet any roof pitch, 10, 12, 12, 12, 8, 12. So it's not the old days where you have a 312 and that's it, type roof. So we can fit typically with the construction of architecture of any neighborhood. That's where we build our decks. The one thing, I'll show you in here, everything we build is on a flat fixture, and it squares it. Our tolerances are very tight for square and true and flat. We do our plumbing while it's on the deck table. At the end of this, we'll do a 30-minute air test as part of our quality assurance program, and then we'll pass it on to the next stage. We cover all our decks with paper to keep them clean, so when we get to the finished stage, it's our subfloor doesn't have ground in drywall dust or anything. this is something I wanted to kind of highlight is we build our exterior walls on these fixtures that we lay the drywall. We kind of build from the inside out. We lay our drywall down first. We frame the wall, and then we clamp it down. We clamp it down so it's on a perfectly flat surface, and we spray this two-part adhesive that comes out of these. I might have passed it, and that's what holds the drywall onto the exterior wall. And the advantage is for us, that's a bond the entire length of that stud. We can seal off that wall cavity for energy efficiency, and we don't have to finish screws or nails on the other side, and no nail pops. So all our exterior walls are done that way. Our roof is done that way as well. And again, for the home buyer, it's a stronger home. It's more energy efficient because it's sealing off those cavities. We're working from the inside out. You can see him here spraying it in. Within about 15 minutes, we can pick that wall up and set it on the deck. So there's how we build our roofs. The drywall is down on the table. The hinge, you can see how the hinge component works. It's a MyTech fastener press plate that allows us to move these walls and fold them up. So we get the job site. Those are, we take the crane, attach it, and erect the roof. We wire it while it's down on the table, pick it up, set it on the box, and we're framed. And our exterior walls are drywalled. I like to think that you see the LVL in there. A lot more engineering typically goes into our product than I would say a site-built home. All this stuff's pre-engineered. It's by us, our own department, our drafting. We do all our own drawing. Someone brings us a plan similar to any of those. We'll what we call modularize it. We'll turn it into a modular plan so we can build it in components. How am I doing on time? About it? Okay. Well, I thought I was going to run short, but these pictures, I could spend 3 hours with somebody that's in construction in a plant tour. But if you want to come to a tour, call us up, grab a card from us. That's our best form of marketing is the tours. Second Saturday of a month, we have public tours. So it's typically when our builders will send potential customers in. We just had one last Saturday. So yes, 10 o'clock, the second Saturday of every month, we have a tour. We start at 10. We take everybody out as a group. In any groups, a lot of times when we're working with, say a land bank or something like that, we'd like to kind of do that more private during working hours so you can see, how things are, how the soup's made, so to speak. Some projects, one thing I'd like to hit on real quick. Sorry, I didn't realize I was going to run over. So like I said, we've been doing infill housing for at least the past 25 years, probably before. The modular industry kind of grew up under suburban rural building out of a little bit out of necessity because of lack of builders in some areas. So it was primarily a rural type build for the most part, generally speaking. But we've been doing infill for over 25 years. Early in 2000, we did 48 single-family homes in Toledo. We did downtown. You may recognize what we call a lighthouse project, which is on Patterson, the real colorful townhouse project across from Dayton Dragons. That's our product. We did some light tech projects. Cincinnati, we did a project with the Model Group, and Evanston at the 5 Point area multifamily project. Cincinnati, Cleveland. Right now, we're currently, like I said, we've done about 200 units in Columbus so far with the group. Another project we just completed I want to talk about just a little bit is called Vista Village in Columbus. It's a project for homeless, formerly incarcerated, a private developer. The first phase we built 41, they're one-bedroom homes. They have a full working kitchen, they have a bathroom, walk-in closet, bedroom. The developer built a community center, has washer and dryer, gathering space, commercial kitchen, offices, and they provide all social services to bring somebody kind of back into being a productive member of society, basically. So homeless, we just finished 41 homes early this year, I think it was. I talked to them yesterday, and they've got about 3/4 of them full. They're not they're trying to take it slow a little bit because there's a little bit of learning curve to it. And kind of off that project, we're working with Miami Valley Housing Organization, with Leah's group back there, on a project called Beacon Place over off of Needmore and 202, right? That'll probably occur late 2026 maybe, or sometime 2026. So you're going to see more and more of those projects. You talked about ADUs, you talked about, then this is, actually John Perez, the developer at Vista Village, called me yesterday and said the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development is visiting in September, and they were asked to be an exhibitor along with us. They've asked us to be along on the National Mall this fall. So you're going to see more and more of these programs as alternative housing. There's a lot of neat stuff we're working on, but and we're actually working locally with County Corp. We got 5 houses in production right now that's going over in the Good Sam neighborhood, single car garage, 1,200 square foot houses. Yeah, a lot of stuff going on. So, yeah, thank you.
Question, how large square footage in one modular?
Good question. The largest framed dimension is 15.8 by 60, and that's mainly for travel restrictions. So unless we want to get into super load permits, all our loads are permitted through ODOT as oversized loads. But when you start getting beyond 16 feet, it gets into super loads and it gets expensive. So you can transport bigger stuff, but it's just not practical.
So one in West Virginia is 7 units. How does that work with the inside walls? The inside walls are the same as the outside walls with modular?
Well, we call them mate walls, where the units come together. So our mate walls are 2x4 walls. So you'll have, like on a ranch, on the mate walls where the 2 modules come together, you have 2 2x4 walls and typically an airspace. And we use a split jam, cased openings and doorways. And that's, when people, a tell sign of modular is that. I mean, most people say, oh, you got nice wide jambs and woodwork, And if you watch your designs, we've got some designs, people walk in them and say, I can't believe this is modular, and one thing I didn't mention, I'm sorry if I'm going over. One thing I didn't mention, there's a distinction between manufactured and modular homes. Modular homes are built to the same code as you would site build. Manufactured homes typically built to a HUD code. There's nothing wrong. There's different product, different places. But when we go into a community and propose a project, some people, they kind of have this vision. You're pulling it in, pulling the wheels off of it, and putting some awning around it, and being done. And you got to get past, and typically how we do that. I mean, I've had people. The project didn't go through, but I had people from an HOA come in that were kind of, I don't know about that. And there was about a half a dozen came in, and it was a local community. And once we were done, they were thrilled about it, and showing them some designs and the quality of the construction and so forth. So, and that's our biggest marketing hurdle, to be honest with you, is, because most people, when you mention it, they think of, and I hate to say this because there's a place for everything, but like a double wide type thing, or more of a manufactured unit where it's, a kind of a, little roof, and you pull the wheels off and you're done, and that's and you're going to see more and more. I mean, modular is becoming more popular just because it's just so hard to get stuff built. Skilled people building stuff in the field. You can ask Lance. I mean, of people, skilled carpenters that can do rough framing are becoming a rare breed. And our systems, we have skilled people. Don't get me wrong, but we have systems in place that we can bring someone in. As long as they have a work ethic and willing to show up for work, which is a big hurdle these days, we can teach them what to do, and that allows us to be more efficient.
So once you start the project, you've got the architectural plans and you've done a rendition. Once you start it, how long does it take to finish?
Generally about 3 to 4 weeks. I mean, it depends. That's a function of people. The more people you have in a plant, the more you can turn the dial up. And that's kind of we're not. There's some plants that are built that are very production oriented. That they're going to say, hey, here's whatever, a dozen plans we build, and you can't make any changes. which is kind of a dream, actually. I mean, I'm kind of more of the custom background, and we can do different things, and but I mean, we're kind of swinging the pendulum. When I first came to Unibuilt, we were, pushing the limits on customization a lot, and now with the labor, I'm trying to get the pendulum back a little more this way, where, because today's buyer, it's in the market we're in, it's cost, and before it was everybody wants to customize and do this, do that, and now more it's like, what can you give me a good product at a price, and our specs are pretty high. We use Anderson 200 windows as our standard spec. We offer a vinyl window. Our base and casing, our casing's 3.5 inch, our base is 5.5, 5.25. So our specs are pretty high. We use all shawl flooring products, and we buy direct from manufacturers, which allows us to be very cost efficient. And we're part of a very large buying co-op that we buy very efficiently.
So have you done, I'm sure you have, but some sort of cost comparison as stick build versus your build?
Yeah, and that's always tough because a lot of times it's you can't get somebody to go through the exercise of, here, take our plans and price it sometimes, and it's hard to get accurate. But at the end of the day, and a lot of it depends on the builder efficiency as well too. Obviously, any project depends on that. But at the end of the day, I would expect us to come in maybe 10-15% cheaper in a perfect world. But sometimes those are, we do get a lot of calls. They say, hey, we've got a project, it's too expensive to build. Site build, we're going to look at modular and think it's 30-40% cheaper. We build with the same materials as you would site build. We buy very efficiently, we build very efficiently, but we also truck it out to the site, which is expensive. We have a crane on site, which is generally anywhere from $5,000 to, we've done sets that was $12,000, of a crane, just an all-terrain crane being out there. So that also offsets some of those. But again, we can offer a shorter build time. And that is a cost savings. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So did you have packets that you wanted to give out to everybody?
Yeah. Or if
Brittany,
you have any
wanna
questions,
maybe-
we'll hang around.
We want to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to connect, and that's really what this next section is about. But first, did everybody put their business cards in here? Brian, want to come up and draw for us, please? And everybody has a parking pass. Just asking again, you didn't crinkle it, you need one. Well, there's a step there or something.
Kevin, can we get a parking pass? Oh, you got one? We're good?
Yep, we're good. That should be yellow.
Should be yellow.
Yellow. All right, so Heather Mann. All right, so you get our first gift card, a $50 gift card with Amazon. Thanks for joining us today. Yep. All right, so this next section is really going into further questions. We want the discussions to take place in this room while we have all the great minds and out-of-the-box thinkers sitting around, right? We have the experts in the room who can answer the hard questions. And I want to point out that we have lenders in the area, and we have private investors. We have, of course, our builders. We have many municipalities that are sitting here. We have land bank representation. When we looked at doing this project, we just wanted to make sure we were going to address all of the potential issues that are going to come up, because it's great to say we have a plan. Now, how do we implement it? And so that's really what this conversation needs to be about, is how do we make it happen? And if you're a municipality and you want to have a question to perhaps a lender or to the land bank, this is really the open room round table discussion. So we're one big round table. And if I'm going to have you raise your hand if you have a question or a comment, and we're going to bring the microphone so we can catch this on the video. And the idea is that we'll be able to have a replay of this, so that if you missed anything, the slides we're going to have as a handout to you. We'll send in PDF form. So if you didn't snapshots of it or you missed something and you want to get it, we're going to make sure you have all of that information. I'm also going to put together a directory of everyone who's in the room because it's important for us to maybe say, oh, well, somebody was there, who was that? This way it will register and maybe help make those connections further. And then, of course, your Orla team, we're the ones who put this together. It's our opportunity to kick it off in our hometown. Brian and I are both from this area. And then hopefully we get to span out across the state, which is why this is really an important thing. So we're going to open up. If you don't have any immediate questions, then I've got the 2 prompting questions on the sheet. But is there any burning questions that you've just been dying to ask, and we'll get to you? And it's radio silence. All right. Go ahead, sir. Say your name, please.
Norm Miosi, I'm with Habitat for Humanity of Greater Dayton. So as an infill builder, some of the challenges or things that we run into that could be addressed in a forum like this. When you build on infill lots, there's always the question, what's in the ground? And then what's really out there as far as utilities go? Is a tap good, or water taps, sewer taps? And so, I heard the presentation regarding the commercial properties. I think it was Julie where she was talking about we have these guaranteed sites for commercial properties, but is there a way the city can do something similar and just say this is what it's going to take? And we know we did the demolitions correctly. This is probably what you're going to encounter, or maybe even sewer and water taps. Can we guarantee the taps or the, are there and accessible? So.
Great question. Absolutely. I know we have some City of Dayton people here. Anybody?
Same table.
Did you already have this conversation and you just left us out, right?
Sure, Norm. We'll do that. I got you, buddy. Yeah, no, I think it's a great idea. You don't know, right? There's so much uncertainty with these infill lots, and certainly something we'd like to look into. The city actually, doesn't own as many infill lots as a lot of people think. A lot of times they're some dude in Sacramento or something, or they're not alive anymore. So that there's a whole acquisition issue there, and guarantees would be very hard. But for the city-owned lots, I think it's something we could look into.
Awesome. Great idea. Back over here.
Thank you very much. Lance Oaks with the Dayton Home Builders Association and Oaks Tree Development. Not to pick on the city of Dayton, I'll stick there though. But this question really pertains to any municipality that has infill lots. City of Dayton currently, I think, has 6,000 developed lots ready to be built on. And good locations. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity there. My question stems for the municipalities, kind of along the lines of what he was saying with, hidden costs with infrastructure and all of that. But let's say from the private sector standpoint, you go in there and you build a house at 275, 300,000, which there's a market in a lot of those neighborhoods. You sell it, but then, there's the silent killer of the appraisal. How do you backstop appraisals to make sure that the private sector wants to go in there and not get their legs cut out from under them if that appraisal comes back at 250 or 220? And, for the programs like that we were talking about, the Sunshine and the community programs, those are important to keep the price affordable for, the market that needs it. But that's not helping bring the price points of the neighborhood and the other property values up, which is what a lot of the municipalities would like to see.
Sure.
So the kind of a broken record for the people who have heard me before, backstopping of appraisals. How do you, and you don't need to do it for 100. You just need to do it for, a half a dozen or a few in most neighborhoods to give the appraisers comps to pull from.
Right.
So.
And that's the reason why you get a lot of that NIMBYism pushback. People don't want it coming into their neighborhood because it's going to raise their property taxes if the value of the area has gone up. So we have to weigh all of these conditions and circumstances when we're going to come in and approach that aspect. We don't have an appraiser in the room, but as realtors, we'll certainly have conversations and see how do we address that if we're looking at doing the infill side.
So I can't just give a problem. I'll have to give the solution too.
Okay,
now,
great.
if the municipalities can figure it out. But me as a developer, it makes sense to me that they would be able to set funds aside to, help facilitate those first couple in certain pockets of the neighborhood, rather than just giving me as a developer, let's say, $2 million in the hopes that a project is going to go well. This is proven. And municipalities, I still want you to give the 2 million, but let's set a few dollars aside for those infills on appraisals as well.
Okay, thank you. Other questions? Okay, so our municipalities that we have, obviously we have the city of Dayton, we have Harrison Township, we have city of Troy. Carlisle, are you in the room? Carlisle, you were supposed to be here?
City's here.
Awesome, great to have you. City of Xenia. Okay, we had some people that maybe didn't make it, so this is why it's really important for us to make sure that we're getting as much of this information recorded so that we can put it out there. Again, as our realtor group, we've had some conversations independently with some of our communities and just wanting to start this process. How do we have the discussions? We don't want to lose sight, and I would love to beat the other community in our state who thinks they're going to build first, because I think we have a great opportunity with a lot of resources here ready for that. Some of the things that I have heard, obviously having discussions with each of you as I was inviting you, we were getting on the discussion of how we were going to do this, is regarding land bank. And when the land bank is involved, how does that parlay over to an individual who wants to buy the home? Which is why I invited lenders here, because the lenders have stipulations that they need to make sure are going to be met when it comes to how the deed is recorded, so that that can happen and the person can get financing. So many of us are so used to seeing our one lane, right? And we think of what all we have to handle, but when we try to do a project similar to this, it's going to be all of the different lanes that have to come together. And so we need to understand, what are the hurdles? What do you see as the obstacle, and how can we address it, or at least start the process to maybe come up with some of those answers? So that's the conversation we want to have now. Any of our municipalities, what are your obstacles in your community specifically that you're trying to address that this could be a potential for? Oh, don't make me just call on you. Austin?
Well, I think our
Hold on.
I'll just call on you,
Mic check, 1, 2. All right. I think our problem is NIMBYism, right? We have the developers, we have the spots for them, we have them called out on our future land use. But if we do not have the neighborhood buy-in, that'll kill a project. That's our real challenge.
And so this is one of the avenues, the platform that local realtors can help with, because we can help with that grassroots advocacy. If we know that there's interest there, Veronica, is that the best way you've seen happen in other communities?
Absolutely. So
and other communities all across the state. I preface this conversation with, a lot of people think realtors just sell homes, right? They just sell commercial properties. That is every single conversation I have across the state, and folks sit there and say, well, no, our realtor members, they're the boots on the ground. They know the community because they have to pull the comps. They have to pull all the information. So they're really your grassroots effort. If you are not utilizing your realtors in your neighborhood, like, shame on you. You gotta really focus that effort on that, because I will tell you that they are the ones that know the community in and out, because they've pulled the numbers, they've talked to the neighbors, they've went out and found the random LLC that owns vacant lot 22. So they're really doing all the work for you. It's just a matter of having those conversations. So I really highly encourage you to engage your local realtor members and engage the local associations, because that's the other thing that a lot of folks look at me and they're like, I didn't know we had a realtor association in Dayton. And I'm like, yeah, we've got 31 all across the state. They cover all different territories. I will tell you, Dayton has a big presence here. Cincinnati has a presence as well. We have, Clinton County, Springfield, Southern Ohio, and Midwestern Ohio. So that's just in your hour radius from Dayton. So I highly encourage you to reach out, and we're more than happy to set up those meetings. We're more than happy to be there with you.
And we're not just selling houses and doing all of this. We also live in our communities. I mean, that's the biggest thing. I'm a native to Dayton, Ohio, and that's been one of my pet projects, is to make sure that we're doing things in that area. And we can't do it all on our own, so we have to make those connections, which our connections last, if we're doing our job right, last over the years. And that's why a factory tour 3 years later comes into play in a conversation in 2025. So we're not likely to forget when we've put a connection out there with someone, and we were wanting to make sure that our communities are successful, that they're enjoying what growth potential is there. And to this, there's so many other conversations that can come from this. Infill housing is the start, and if we can accomplish something in our communities with that, then we can take it to the next level and address workforce housing and other aspects of this. Let's see if any of our lenders would like to say anything. Drew or Greg, you can introduce yourself and tell us something about how and what you see here.
I'm Greg Elmore with First Financial Bank. I guess from a lender perspective, I think Lance was talking about the appraisal issue. That's also something that we would have to solve for as well. Land Bank is a tremendous entity. Depending on the program, there's some specific deed restrictions that do hurt us from a lending perspective. The Ohio one that's out currently has basically that if for some reason we had to foreclose, we are limited to who we could resell the property to, which eliminates you from a lot of the programs like Freddie, Fannie, FHA. So probably unintended consequences, but there are some things that do affect the lender and give us less choices, I guess, to be able to lend on those properties.
Thank you.
I'm Drew Huggins with Cross Country Mortgage. I don't have that much to add beyond the appraisal. That is a concern, and I've had conversations through the years of that when they were doing the tornado-proof houses up in Trotwood. I know that I was brought in to ask some questions about that too, and that came up. So that's going to continue to be a problem. I think the modular, thanks for including the modular in this too, because with Unibuilt doing something that's going to bring those costs down should certainly help that quite a bit. And it has been a struggle. I mean, getting the cities to actually come up and present, which I put on mine, to say, how far have we made it in planning this might be helpful as well, as opposed to this is some great plans. Now, what are we doing it in our community? I think would be my only add.
Right. Thank you very much. Arthur, did you have a question? See, I watch for hands when I see them, so. He answered it. Arthur is from our Harrison Township area, and so that's.
Arthur's from Tip City.
Oh, I'm sorry, Tip City.
This is Harrison Township right here.
There you are.
Georgianne Godsey from Harrison Township.
Thank you.
And just kind of an endorsement that over the last many, many years, we have worked with the Land Bank and Habitat and done a lot of infill housing in the Fort McKinley area, approximately 40 homes, variety from 2-story homes to 800 square foot smaller homes. And there was NIMBYism over the 2-story homes. It was like, why are you bringing this expensive home in here when everybody else has an 800 square foot home?
Right.
But gradually, I think through the fact that they were well maintained, they were they started out as rental. They had the option to buy them at any point, and I think it's really worked well to stabilize that community and move forward with it. And so I'm looking forward. This gives me other ideas for other parts of the community.
Awesome. Great. Thank you. And I think that's an important thing. We often want to tag the affordable housing into this discussion, and it's not necessarily about affordability, but about attainability. So the timeline on getting housing, if it is a project that's going to take 1.5 years and then you start construction and then it's maybe another 6 months before a house is completed, you're 2 years in the making, which is why we are in the situation where we are. We didn't keep up with it. We had COVID. We had loss of homes in our area pre-COVID. And so all of those dynamics have just fed our area into saying we need housing. how can we address it, and how can we work with our different municipalities to streamline that process? And that's really what this booklet, I think, represents for our communities, is to say there is a way to make it happen and come together. And those conversations hopefully will continue after. And yes, another question?
No, not so much a question. I just wanted to provide, well, one, encouragement. We're very happy to be receiving these free plans. It's really nice. Ellen Sizer of our planning division here at the City of Dayton, and I'm Kirsten French. I'm the zoning administrator. She has been really great. I'd say a challenge at the City of Dayton is that we are very large. I mean, you go to a small city and you can get 3 people in a room and kind of figure all this out. You got your tap fee person, you got your economic development, and you have the person who knows where all the lots are in the city. In Dayton, you got to thread the needle through a lot more departments. I think that this has been a really helpful tool to doing that, to having some impetus for doing that. We got around the table, and then the question is, what's the material list? Can we tell somebody who comes to our counter, first we're going to pre-approve the plans, and then can we tell them how much it costs to build it, and which lots are available for that, and are there soils tests available, and do we have our taps already? Are you going to have to pay those tap fees again or not? We don't know. So we're trying to get an end-to-end process for this because we have so many lots to build on. I think some challenge for us remains that we don't have a very strong web presence. I get a lot of questions from individuals who want to build homes, and they don't know how to put the pieces together themselves to do that. And certainly that's a great way to build equity in your community and, through your own self-led project. And we don't necessarily have trusted builders who do infill houses that you can have a list of 20 where you can just go contact that person and they can help you do that.
Right.
But yeah, thank you very much.
Awesome. Well, we are going to work on putting some of these lists together of the people that want to make the connections happen. Builders obviously are an important piece to that. Developers in the area. And so if you have people that you've worked with and they don't know anything about it, we're happy to go and talk or share the links and give them all the information and kind of help you make those connections as well. Anybody else have any questions, comments? I'm between you and the food at this point, which I believe they're setting
Lunch
up.
is going to be out in 10 minutes.
Okay.
So
we have 10 minutes of questions.
Correct.
That's what you just said.
Right.
All right. You have a survey on your table for giving us some feedback for today, so you can take an opportunity to also complete that, and we want to pick that up, and that's going to be for our last drawing for the gift certificate. So please, before you leave, make sure we have that. But before you leave, we're going to collect them so that we can give away the gift card. They're filling them out. You want to come up and any parting words? You want to sing a song?
Hello, everyone. You thought you could get rid of me, but you can't. I'm so sorry. The one thing I did forget to mention is that we have been very, very busy working on the state budget. As many of you know and are aware, it has been very, very busy at the State House this last month. So, but I did want to give you one final parting piece of things to think about for your community. In the state budget, we were able to allocate $10 million to communities to help adopt any sort of pre-approved program. So if you want to do any sort of anything like that, it will live in development. To my knowledge, that has not changed. As of today, on July 15th, I'm putting this all on the record, but $10 million for all the communities across Ohio to implement some sort of pre-approved program or even develop their own patterns for a pattern book. So we were super excited and super happy about that. We worked with a lot of different legislators across the state. They're very happy to provide these resources for local communities. So if you do have questions, I'm more than happy to chat with you in the back, but I think that's a win for everybody. So there's going to be an application format similar to all the other government-run programs, and it's going to live on development's website. Again, to my knowledge, that is where it, as of July 15th, that is where it's living. But you never know what's going to happen in the next 3 months, so it may live somewhere else. So.
Okay, so if you did not receive a survey or you don't have one on your table, raise your hand and we'll see if we can scrounge one up from one of the other tables. We've got more. And then as soon as you're finished with it, if you hold it up, I'll collect them. Look at this table being ahead. All right. You didn't put your name on it though, did you? Oh, let me remind you, if you didn't put your name on it, then I can't do a drawing from the survey. So if you wanted to be anonymous, nice try. I know, right? Thank you. Well, we're getting lots of surveys in. That's good feedback. We appreciate it. Thank you very much. Gift card, food. We know the things to tempt you. Okay, we're going to ask again about the parking passes because I don't want you to not have a parking pass. We need Brian. Back table, John needs one, please. If you folded it up, if it got wet, if it's crinkled, it's not going to scan. So if you need another one, raise your hand. We won't embarrass you. You can just raise your hand like you didn't get it in the first place. Anything else? Want to say anything? Want to do the last drawing from the sheets? Yeah, sure.
Do we have all of the surveys? Okay. Yeah, we'll do the drawing. All right. How do we pick it? Do we just toss the surveys in the air and whichever page I catch? Yeah, you can. You're going to have to. Yeah, we'll put them in the bag. Yep. You got all of them? Oh, I think there's another survey. Okay, we're waiting on. That's fine.
People still filling them out.
Yeah, no problem.
Still filling them out. Okay.
Shuffle them around. Yeah.
Anybody else?
Yeah, she's filling it out still. I see a couple people filling it out. We'll give them a couple more minutes.
Yeah, so if you want to tell them that we're lunches, bring it to the cafe style.
Okay, so lunch will be served here in a couple, oh, actually not served, it's a cafe style in the hall. I think it should be ready in a few more minutes. And then you can bring them back to your tables and continue your conversations. All right, I think we've got everybody's survey, correct? All right, so we're going to randomly pick a survey in here. This one right here. Okay, grab this one. I can't even, I don't want to grab two.
Just pick one. I'm trying to. It's the first one on top.
Yeah. And the winner is, well, there's two because this one doesn't have a name. Christian Payo? Christian? Oh, there you are. Sitting at the lucky table. Awesome. Congratulations. All right. How are we on lunch? Brian, where are you?
I'm right here. This is Brian.
Is Brian? Do you think they're about ready? Okay, we're just going to double check.
Any last call for questions?
Any last call for questions? I think we're good. There we go. She got.
Okay, so lunch is ready. 2 minutes. 2 minutes still. And there is not one final question while you have the room.
Has this been good? Yes. Okay. Excited of what this could be for your communities? Good.
We appreciate you coming out. We appreciate the support and really the opportunity to have you all in the same room. That was very beneficial. We hope that you found it beneficial. And hopefully we get a good grade on our project now that we had all this support and people show up. Yay!
I know. Well, kind of. I'm really excited, though, for presenting this to our group.
Yeah.
Our information together.
Okay, we're good. We are good. Lunch is served. Help yourself.
That one.
I mean, as far as like.
I just click buttons until it works, you know.
Is it got
Yeah. Don't forget that's in there. I could stop it and do it to the. Let me do that. So I can give you
to
your
desktop.
drive. Yeah. That was this one.
Yes, ma'am. It's a pretty big file. That's why we can email everything to you.
Ah, yeah. I figured that. Well, it was so easy. They had it all set up, so that made it very nice.
Very
to,
convenient.
and it all worked. Yay! Yeah, that's good to have on the background there for us. This is where you need the Jeopardy music or something?
Yes, ma'am. It should be default when you copy something.
Right. It's longer than 10 seconds. Play it, music cued. Alright. Go. That means I should be able to release that.
Awesome.
There you go. And now I will loop that.
Yeah, the customer put like a trail cam, like for hunting, on a post.
Nice.
So
And
it's a
just
whole
watch
video.
it.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I would do that. That's what I would love to do.
Just whatever you need. Just